Wow. So I am absolutely shocked as to how much I enjoyed The Wolfman. It wasn't the best.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
It wasn't set back in the day. It was definitely a modern telling and retelling of the Wolfman story and lore. But it was cool. I genuinely enjoyed it, and like I said, I was shocked that I actually, at the end of the movie, I was like, this was good. Like, it had its hiccups and it had its faults, but it was a very good movie considering that it's, supposed to be the Wolfman. The director, Wanel, he did The Invisible Man, and I never reviewed that, but I wasn't really a fan of it. I didn't like the fact that, spoiler, that the Invisible Man is just wearing a suit. He's not actually invisible. He didn't drink a serum or something that he concocted. It's just a crazy suit that allows you to be invisible, and he tortures his wife for like reasons. So I wasn't really thrilled at the prospect of that guy making the Wolfman, but again, I had no idea again that this guy is actually partially why we have the Saw and Insidious franchises. So I mean, that's kind of cool. So it's why was the Invisible Man like a bad movie? Just the idea of the Invisible Man, not good. And I will say, Nosferatu had its Nosferatu was great because it was set back in the day. It wasn't modern Nosferatu. Yeah, it seemed like a modern retelling of Nosferatu, but it was still set back in the day. This Wolfman movie was very much so a a reimagining of the entire lore of and what it means to become a werewolf. But like I said, I enjoyed it. Right? But the film follows Christopher Abbott, his character Blake, and I don't really know him from much, and I guess Ryan Gosling was supposed to be in this, and I'm glad he's not, because if he was, I feel like the movie would have been worse because you would just have a familiar face that you'd be seeing. Christopher Abbott was like obscure enough to be like, oh man, like I feel for this guy. But so it starts off with him and his father, and they're in the woods hunting. His father's teaching him how to hunt, and they end up encountering the wolf, like a wolf man, and it is awesome. I mean, the beginning of this film was very well done. The tension was great. It was thrilling. It made you wonder what you were going to see, what was going to happen. It was fantastic. And then it jumps into the future. Blake is older, right? He has his wife and his daughter, and it turns out him and his wife aren't in the best situation, but he finds out that his father has finally passed, and apparently his father goes missing. You find out in the beginning that his father was actually hunting the Wolfman, this wolf-like creature, and they ended up coming in its path and it had an altercation in a sense, but they were able to get away. So apparently his father went to go try to kill this thing and ended up dying in the process, and they finally say he's dead, and they release all his assets, and Blake gets his house, his father's house. So of course, he tells his wife, he's like, let's go out to the house. It's in like Oregon, in the mountains, beautiful area. He's like, we'll go out and spend some quality time together, spend some time with our daughter Ginger. The daughter is actually really cool. She kind of reminded me of the little girl from If. I liked her as a character. She's daddy's girl, just super cool. So they end up going out to Oregon, and I loved that the movie, first of all, had the pacing was perfect. It didn't lag on backstory. It was very straight, forward. You see how this family is acting and how they are together, and they need to get away. They go on the getaway, immediately get attacked by this creature, and the trailers did a pretty good job, I guess, of like having this attack happen, because they still show you the Wolfman in snippets, but it's like off screen, or he's running at them, or you see glimpses of him, and it's awesome. I really think that really helped for the thrill of the movie, because it looked freaky as shit. But of course, he gets clawed, he gets scratched, Blake, and so now he's going to become a werewolf, and potentially hurt his family. And it was cool, right? Like, the whole premise of this film, honestly, in my opinion, is that it's like, what is it like to become a werewolf? So it's from his perspective. And spoilers, I'm not going to spoil too much, because definitely just watch it. It was a lot of fun. If you saw Nosferatu, watch The Wolfman. Come on, don't be prejudiced against werewolves. But the way he sees things, and it is crazy as a werewolf, right? And how he's starting to see things, but in reality, he's losing like his speech. You know, he's starting to become more animalistic. You know, almost feral, and it's just crazy because the wife and daughter are dealing with this weird shit happening with this guy now with her husband, but in his mind, he's still thinking clearly, but he can't process anything. He sees the way he sees them. They have like these glowing blue eyes, and it looks like he's looking through fog. Like it was just a lot of. It was really cool. Like I mean, you know, of all the werewolf movies we've had, you know, it's never been through the perspective of the werewolf's transformation. You know, in American Werewolf in London, you know, you just think of pain, but like if you were him, what would you see and how would it be happening? Most werewolf movies, you know, the transformation happens very fast and they become a wolfman. In this movie, it was gradual. Granted, it all happens within one night. It was a gradual change, and he didn't quite change into a werewolf. He kind of was more, he was a wolf man. Like he was definitely a modern wolf man. He wasn't a werewolf. You know, in the movie Werewolves, those were werewolves. The transformations and everything, those were werewolves. This was a man becoming a wolf man, you know. And in the beginning, it starts off saying that, like, you know, indigenous people to the area of Oregon back in the day, you know, it was like a disease and they called it something something, and it meant like the face of the wolf or whatever. So I say the modern aspect of it is kind of lame. Again, like Invisible Man, like having a suit that is just, it turns you invisible. Like it's like, all right, I guess. Kind of takes away from that wonder of the Invisible Man because he became physically invisible, not because of an item. You know, the Wolfman became this cool wolf-like creature. This one, I mean, he was turning, but, you know, by the end of the movie, he's like, I mean, I guess, yes, he's unrecognizable. The prosthetics are great. You know, the practical effects are cool. The CGI scenes, obviously, they're there, but most of it, I believe, is practical. And the CGI bits, as minuscule as they were for, like, things protruding and stuff, it was still great. Like, but the practical effects were awesome. So, you know, like, overall, it was a good movie. Him going through this and you kind of being there with both the family and him. And then, you know, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but, you know, if you've seen the 2010 werewolf movie with the Wolfman from Benicio del Toro, it kind of is like the same setup as that, almost identical. If I do say, you know, if I dare say, but it was still a fun movie, and I wish they wouldn't have used that trope that movie that the Wolfman from 2010 already used, but you know, it is what it is. I will say still the Wolfman design looked horrible. Universal Studios totally ruined the movie prematurely by releasing that stupid setup things or whatever for, you know, for it during Halloween or whenever it was. And if they hadn't done that, maybe, you know, I would have went into this a bit more optimistic, but because they did that, it definitely tainted my view of what this Wolfman would look like. And in the movie, it was very much so that, you know, and it's just not, it's not as cool as what we've had before, that's for sure. So, you know, but it was, like I said, it was, overall, it was a fun movie. It was better than The Invisible Man. I would definitely watch it over The Invisible Man. I'd probably watch Nosferatu again before I watched this one, but I would definitely enjoy showing someone this movie and the, you know, Guillermo del Toro's Werewolf, because Wolfman, because I honestly like that transformation of a werewolf better than this one. But this story and how it dealt with, you know, him becoming a wolf man, it was cool. It was different. It was interesting. So definitely check it out, Wolfman. You know, it was a fun film, and I think if you like horror, or if you like the old school Universal monsters, or if you're just a fan of Dracula and Frankenstein and the Mummy, just check out the Wolfman, because it's definitely pretty cool. I don't see, like, you know, them making a sequel or like continuation like they did The Howling and stuff, or like, you know, American Werewolf in Paris, but it was cool. You know, it was definitely a cool movie, and I am glad that I enjoyed it. It wasn't the best. I gave it like a solid 7 maybe out of 10, 6. But when it comes to how the Wolfman looked, 3. But yeah, this has been Ghost in the Craig. Thank you so much for tuning in, man. Yeah, hopefully in another couple years we get another werewolf movie on par with werewolves. But werewolves was great, so if you want to watch a good werewolves movie, low key, just watch werewolves. But you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. Peace.